So our first speaker is Andrea Aravena, whose title is Cortadera Deposit, Discovery and Geology of a Copper-Gold-Molybdenum Porphyry in the Cretaceous Metallogenic Belt of northern Chile. Andrea is a geologist from the Universidad de Concepción, Chile, with over 16 years' experience in Chile's mining and exploration industry. She has also completed further studies in project and operational management at the Pontificia Universidad Católica de Chile. Before joining Hot Chile, she worked for 4 years as a mine and exploration geologist in open pit and underground gold operations for Humana and Minera Dayton companies. Andrea joined Hot Chile in 2011 as a senior geologist, supervising and managing Productora, El Fuego, and more recently, the Cortadera exploration drilling programs, coordinating the field teams, company contractors, ensuring compliance to the company's standard operating procedures. Since 2020, Andrea has worked as geology manager, contributing to the completion of Productora pre-feasibility study and supporting legal and environmental permitting for the current company operations. Please join me in welcoming Andrea.
Many thanks, Douglas. Hi, everyone. I'm really glad to say thank you to the organizers, to NewGenGold, to invite us to present Cortadera Discovery. Well, let's continue. Well, sorry, classic disclaimer. If you want to have a look, you always can go to the website or to the booth approach to us. Well, I will speak about Cortadera Discovery, but actually Cortadera is the centerpiece of a Costa Fuego hub, copper hub that we have been developed in the region, in the Huasco region, like 13 years. Well, Costa Fuego is located 600 kilometers north Santiago and just 37 kilometers south Vallenar, that has a population of 52,000. And Vallenar is a city that is close to two big mining cities like Copiapó in Chile and La Serena. And Costa Fuego forms part of 3 deposits that the company has been developing. The first one is Productora deposit. Just 14 kilometers southeast is Cortadera deposit. And also we have a small satellite deposit that is San Antonio. In the map, you can see the gray. These are the landholding tenements that the company has been consolidated during these 13 years. And what is the unique of Costa Fuego is like where it's located. It's in a low elevation project, like 1,000 meters above sea level. If we compare with our peers that is here, you know, we have here Costa Fuego, we have other projects like Filo del Sol, Jose Maria, that probably you have known, is at 4,000 meters above sea level. So the other advantage of the project is that we have already existing infrastructure. Is just 10 kilometers, the both project to a highway, the Pan American Highway that connects in Chile from the south to the north. Also, we are just 55 kilometers from a deep sea port, Las Losas port, and 25 kilometers from a power subelectrical station. So Costa Fuego already, in these 13 years, we have already have a large resource, 725 million of tons of 0.47% of copper of indicated reserves, and 202 million tons of 0.36% copper equivalent of inferred reserve. So it's a large deposit. One of the milestones that the company have also delivered last June is the completion of the PEA with a technical report with a National Instrument 43101 that confers Costa Fuego like a low-risk deposit, will be a production over 100,000 tons, the copper equivalent per year for 16 years, and will be 95,000 of tons of copper and 49,000 for gold per year the first 14 years. So it's a really large deposit. Well, if we compare with other big in Chile, probably doesn't look too, too big, but yes, it will be a really good deposit that has also existing infrastructure, like it's a low risk. And one of the things that also I want to mention, if we already last year have a maritime concession granted to take seawater from the Huasco region. So the water for the project is secure. The 3 deposits will be processed with salt water, so it's no need to a large desalination plant. And also, it's no need to a large pipeline to get the water to the project. So this is also really important, more in a region in Chile that we are in the middle of the desert, that the scarcity of the water is a key point, not only because for the communities, but also because we need a lot of water for the process. Okay, before I start with the discovery of Cortadera, I will go a little bit for the story of the company that we have been consolidated and working in the area like 13 years of exploration success. So as I mentioned before, we started in 2010, well, listed in ASX, but also exploring in Productora, the first deposit. And between 2010 and 2016 has been developed a lot of drilling in Productora, around 300,000 meters of drilling. And in these 6 years, we have been, well, consolidated different deals in terms of land holding to can develop the project, also in terms of infrastructure, and, well, 3 resource outbreak actually between all these years that put Productora in the 2016 in a PFS level. Also, during these drilling campaigns, we have been discovering Alice, that is a small porphyry just adjacent to Productora. Productora is a tourmaline breccia deposit. So it has been discovered in 2014, 2015. We continue developing PFS. And once the company has delivered the PFS in 2016, well, coincides with a downturn in the copper market. So it was really rough in that time. And also, Productora really was a project that really needed a little bit more metal to can develop. So between 2016 and 2018, the company take the opportunity to continue develop in the different deals. And here is what is came the importance of the corporate strategy of the company. In that time, in a really rough time, well, the company, the corporate strategy was drawn by Christian yesterday, and also Jose Ignacio Silva, our VP, to consolidate and negotiate the Cortadera deal. Cortadera, it was owned by a private company in Chile, owner, and it took 4 years of dealing to get finally in 2018 the option agreement to acquire the 100% of Cortadera project. Also, between those years that we did like exploration in other projects, we have been consolidated El Fuego in 2018, that is this small deposit San Antonio that I showed in the last slide. And we have done some mapping in this project. Well, in 2019, once we acquired Cortadera, started a rapid development of the exploration with a lot of drilling, validation program that in 2020, we just released the first resource that has Cortadera deposit. Also, at the same time, in the parallel, the company has worked in the different deals with the infrastructure, like the water permitting, and has consolidated different deals with other land holding to the south of Cortadera to can do a really regional target, not only with Cortadera. So 2022 also is a big year. Well, at the same time, in 2021, the company initially just listed in the ASX, and after that, the company has opened to North America market. So 2022, the company released the combined resource, not only Cortadera resource, the second resource, also Productora and San Antonio resource, like a copper hub that we call Costa Fuego. Also this year, we have the offtake agreement with Glencore and starting the negotiation with Las Losas Port. And here we are today. This year also has been really important for us because we have the completion of the PEA just in June, and also one deal that has been done also during this year is the Osisko Gold Royalty investment agreement. That was a really good endorsement for the company and what we have been doing during these years. Okay, well now I'm going to the geology part of, first, the Costa Fuego project to understand the regional aspect, and after that to go into more detail in Cortadera. Well, here in this map, you can see one of the key points in Chile is in the coastal range, because we are located in the coastal Cordillera, that we call, is Atacama Fault System, that you can see the spatially relationship, the deposit with the Atacama Fault System. Here is Cortafuego. This fault has more than 1,000 kilometers through La Serena until Iquique, and you can see all the different deposits, star deposit that is related genetically and temporally with this Atacama fault system. Is in red, you can see the porphyry style deposit. Also, you have the EOA and the IOCG deposit. And here we can see, assume in the Costa Fuego area, we have Productora deposit and hydrothermal breccia that just lie in the iron ore belt. In this area, you have all the deposit of iron apatite, also iron, copper, gold. And 14 kilometers south, you have Cortadera deposit, porphyry style, copper, gold, molybdenum, and San Antonio deposit that is a skarn, a structural control deposit. All this area is in a lower Cretaceous unit, and that you can see this is lower Cretaceous units. Also, this is lower Cretaceous intrusive, and the Jurassic unit in green. Also, two features important in the structural trend in the regional is, as I mentioned before, Atacama Fault System, but also in Cortadera, we have the Agua de los Burros fault and also Torito fault. And these structures, north-south, also very important, the intersection with the northwest fault that we call in this, and you have different deposits in this regional transfer fault that we call Serrano. Okay, let's go into the Cortadera story and the discovery. This is a picture of the Cortadera body looking southeast. We have this northwestern fault that I mentioned before that connect also and goes until Productora, and host these three bodies, three different intrusive, that's Cuerpo 1, Cuerpo 2, Cuerpo 3. In the map, you can see that Cuerpo 1 was in the 2003-2004 mine just for copper oxides, and there goes to Dos Amigos plant that they have an oxide plant. And here we have a zoom in the geology, in the regional geology and setting of the Cretaceous porphyry. Normally in Chile, the Cretaceous porphyry is a belt that the majority of the explorers doesn't explore. They go to the UC stuff in the Andes. So you have two ages of the Cretaceous porphyry. the lower Cretaceous and the early Cretaceous and the late Cretaceous. The early Cretaceous, you have Dos Amigos, Pajonales, and that are like 35 kilometers south Cortadera. And Cortadera is a late Cretaceous porphyry, 92 million years. We have dated the different intrusions in Cortadera, 6 samples, and all happen in the same time. It's between 91.5 million years until 92, all the range. So all happening nearly in the same time. We see here in blue light the lower Cretaceous unit. Normally it's a big sequence composed by volcanic sedimentary rocks with a calcic component, limestone also. And you see the fault also really important that I have mentioned before, Abuelo Burro. Okay. Now going into the exploration story of Cortadera and how it has been developed. Between we started with the real work in Cortadera, I will mention that all this area has been before like a Aguamarga district, mining district that it calls, and has been exploring before and exploiting in a very like Pirquineros way in 18th for silver, really. And actually, when the Cortadera deposit started, really the exploration was in 1993, when ENAMI do 600 meters of drilling. ENAMI is a national mining company that support the small miners. They have a plant in Vallenar, so the small miners that they don't have the capacity to, they just send the material there, so sometimes they support the miners with some or small quantity of exploration budget to develop the project. So they just did 600 meters of drilling of RC, but actually was in 1994 when Minera Itza Chile acquired the project of Cortadera, and they identify in outcrop porphyry-style mineralization. They have done some trenches. They have done also 2,410 meters of drilling, so of core. So they recognize porphyry-style mineralization. They recognize E and B types quartz vein initially, but in 2025, they just dropped the project. Also was a turn down in the copper market. And you can see here a big gap between 1995 and 2009 was a big gap in the exploration in Cortadera deposit. It was a small work that they own this Carola family, is the owner of Cortadera project in that time. They did something, they did some mapping, but actually it was until 2009 when Minera Fuego acquired the project with an option agreement to acquire the 100%, and they start at the beginning with some regional mapping that covers like 30 kilometers around not only Cortadera, also in a regional way. After that, what really started the drilling campaign of Minera Fuego was between 2011 and 2012. Between those years, well, the first campaign, they drilled like 6,000 meters, and after that, 16,000 meters. At the same time, they were doing also geophysics, they were doing soil sampling, and in the total, they have done 23,000 meters with 39 holes, drill holes, all diamond core, and they identified these 3 porphyries. But the project, they have, in that time, they have a consultant called Eugene Toby that he mapped the veining of the system, but actually, for them, they never have done like a really geological model because it was hard in the logging. That's why in 2000, they recognized 2013, they have the option until 2015 actually, but the manager in that time of of the CEO, the Minera Fuego, it wasn't really a geologist and have some problem with the geology team. Also at that time was a downturn in the copper market, so he just decided, drop the project, change of business, and left Cortadera like that, with also a big gap of exploration already with 23,000 meters of drilling. And during those years is when the company, Hot Chile, really worked it out from 2016 until 2019, really hard to get the deal with Cortadera. So once the company acquired in 2019 in Cortadera, really started a campaign of validation and relogging of the core. And one of the key aspects here was the same 2019 was the discovery of the high-grade core that we will be after that going through in more detail in all these steps. And we started a campaign for 1,000 meters of drilling. After that, between 2020 and 2022, you can see that in just nearly 4 years, 5 years, we have like 2 reserves, 1 combined reserves, are really big campaigns of drilling, knowing how the deposit and the PA here in 2023. So if we see all the historic line and the gaps, really Hot Chile has been achieved in these 4 years growing, and we will see in the following slide how has been growing the deposit since we started exploration. Well, as I mentioned before, this is the summary of what the other companies have done. Actually, the most important data and work, it was a few examples here between 2093, 2095, small drilling campaigns, geophysics, but important in really identify this was the campaign in 2011, 2022, that Minera Fuego did the diamond holes, as I mentioned, did also ground-based magnetometry, airborne magnetometry, MINDAS also. And here you can see in this image, this is the 3 cuerpos, the deposit. This is the northwest fault. You have the drill holes drilled by Minera Fuego. The trace is the copper percentage. And you have in magenta is more than 0.5% copper, and in red is 0.4% copper. So you have a weak magnetic low surrounded the deposit, and this magnetic high associated with the copper mineralization in its all footprints in the same structure around 3 kilometers. And also one of the thing that Minera Fuego did is a big campaign, a large campaign of exploration, regional exploration, not only in Cortadera, also in the areas surrounding Cortadera. Here you have 2 maps that in that time, Dietrich was the consultant for Minera Fuego in 2012. They have done this a really mapping scale of all this area. This is about 30 kilometers that they do. Here is Cortadera. So you can more or less have an idea of how many land they have done this. And also they did all the mapping of the structural trends important. As I mentioned before, these regional trends are really important in this porphyry placement. We have, this is the Cortadera trend that we call Serrano trend. This one, and if you continue to the north, you will go until Productora project. And Agua de los Burros, this is Agua de los Burros fault and structural trend. So they have done this mapping, and also they identify some areas of interest or targets in a regional way. So once Hot Chile acquired the project, we have a really good base to can start doing exploration. So it was a good work that we have the core available, and it was in good condition. So this was something that helped us to have a very good base in continued exploration. Okay, well, in 2019, in February, we signed the option agreement with Cortadera, so we started really the exploration really soon. One of the important things that in Chile, at least, you need some permitting in this area to start exploration. So the good thing that Minera Fuego already have the 39 holes is that we have available path to can drill. So it doesn't took us like 1 year after to can start drilling. So this is one point that helped us in minimize, this window of exploration. So the first, the first stage of the campaign was really focused in validating first the diamond drilling that have done Minera Fuego. So we have done some twin hole. Also, we have been doing a campaign of relogging all the core and put it in the Hot Chile standard, focusing also to have consistency in the logging, and after that we can do a proper geology model. So this campaign was also done at the first stage. And once we get the project, we realized that it was open, so the idea is to test the different cuerpos and see the expansion of the project. And one of the big milestones in this stage one at the beginning, because the stage one we drilled 16, between 16 RC diamond holes, around 8,000 meters of drilling, was the decision made to test the extension of Cuerpo 3. This was the discovery hole proposed by Christian yesterday, this decision. And in the report, you see that the other consultant has like some high grades in some areas between the 300 meters, 400 meters depth. So here, this is Cortadera, Cuerpo 1, Cuerpo 2, Cuerpo 3. So the decision to test below the Cuerpo 3, you can see in white are the drill holes that already has been drilled by Minera Fuego, and in yellow dots are the one that we did in this campaign. So yes, we did some in Cuerpo 1, Cuerpo 2, but the important of really this stage was here, the CRP 0013D, to test at depth, because Minera Fuego have done some holes, but not really deep. Has been until 700 meters, but in CRP 0013D, we test until 1.3 kilometers of depth. And we have one of the biggest intercept, 750 meters of 0.6% copper. And it was the high-grade discovery in Cortadera, including nearly 200 meters of 0.9% copper and 0.4 grams ton for gold. So this is a really a key factor in the discovery of Cortadera, the high grade of Cortadera. And here in this plan view, we will see now the E and E prima cross-section. Here we have the E and E prima cross-section. We have the 13D. Here you can see the large scale of the porphyry deposit. This is the 0.3% porphyry mineralization. And here is the significant intercept of the high-grade copper discovered. This was other holes that we have done during this campaign. And in this part, this high grade was considered, as you can see in the map, this is an example of the core in that grade. This is between 517 meters, 561. We have 1.2% copper, 0.33 grams of gold. Was related to disturbing intrusions and high abundance of E and B quartz veins. And also in CRP 013D, the orientation of the vein, because all the drilling that we have done in Cortadera, the diamond drilling, we do an oriented drill core. So in this part of the high grade, the orientation of the veining start being flat. So this is also a key point of this high grade component of Cortadera. Well, after the success of the first drilling campaign, we continued drilling in 2019. The second, more or less, also 8,000 meters more of drilling, and was focusing in expanding this high grade and expanding the different bodies, and also to expand in the Cuerpo 2, the high grade chalcocite. So here is a plan view of the Cuerpo 2. And you have the mineralized area and the mineralized porphyry center. The FGOD holes are the holes that has drilled Minera Fuego. So you have in the center some holes, 2 holes that have been drilled Minera Fuego. So we drill some to validate this information. And after that, to extend this high-grade zone in this area, you can see what our holes are in yellow dots. And also here, one of the big results and component that we have is the 21. We have 80 meters of 0.8% copper from surface. So this campaign also was focused not only in the extension of high grade in Cuerpo 3, but also the high grade from surface in Cuerpo 2 and delineate this chalcocite component. Here is, well, sorry. Here is CRP, so we will see the cross-section of the Cuerpo 2. So here we have, through the CRP 021, we have this big intercept. We have initially, as you can see, the old holes, FGOD 02, FGOD 01, the Minera Fuego holes. And we have drilled this extension of the surface high-grade component. So the results of this stage 2 was we extend in Cuerpo 3 the high grade, and also we extend the mineralization, the shallow mineralization that we have in Cuerpo 2. Also, one of the things that we did in parallel of the drilling campaigns during 2019 was the regional mapping. After we have success with the CRP 13D, Steve Garwin, Dr. Steve Garwin, was joined the company as a technical advisor. So we started doing the anaconda mapping in a surface also, and also in the drill core, we start really logging the key components in quartz vein abundance, E and B type quartz veins, chalcopyrite-pyrite ratio, the alteration, not only the minerals alteration, also if early or late stage alteration. So we did this work, and also we did a campaign of soil sampling, not only in Cortadera, also to cover all the area that we have, until Cortadera Null and longer. This is like from Cortadera 1.5, 2 kilometers from Cortadera deposit. This is the footprint of Cortadera. You have here ground magnetics that we acquired from the others project, and the IP chargeability. So you can see here how the IP chargeability highs are related to the footprint of Cortadera, but also in Cortadera North, in the soils, I don't know if you can see well, but more than 5 or 6 ppm is in yellow, in orange is more than 6 ppm, and in red, you have more than 13 ppm of moly anomaly. So in Cortadera North, you can see that the IP highs is slightly displaced with the Cortadera North soil moly anomaly. Also the same in the footprint of Cortadera. So also in this phase, we started to do all this regional campaign to looking for more targets. Okay, this in 2020, after these 3 drilling campaigns that we have done, we did a geological model, a 4D geological model. Here you can see a plan view of the lithological model by Garwin. So we take all the data of the drilling, the logging, the quartz abundance, vein abundance, E and B veins, the alteration, the chalcopyrite ratio, also the geophysics that we have available, and all the geochemistry, downhole survey, and also the soil. So has been integrated for first time, because in Cortadera before it wasn't really a geological model, it was the first time integrated all this data and good quality of geological data to create and understand the geological model of Cortadera. So here's a plan view of Cortadera. We have in Cortadera different phases of intrusion. We have the early porphyry intrusion. Cortadera, the intrusions are tonalitic, quartzitic. So we have in magenta the early intrusions that normally is about more than 5% of quartz, E and B type quartz abundance, and is related with a higher grade of core. And we have in red the early mineralized porphyry, the intermineralized porphyry in red. Also, they are between 1 and 5% of quartz abundance in volume, E and B type quartz, and they have the range of the grade normally is between 0.2 and 0.3% copper. And we have these late intrusions in yellow that normally have north-south and northwest direction. So that also these are really important because it's the last feature that we can also follow. This follow until Cortadera North, so it's a good guide also for exploration. So we have these 3 types of intrusion. Late mineralized porphyry dikes normally has less than 1% of quartz vein abundance. Normally, they are not really mineralized. They can be, in some parts, 0.1% or less. Or sometimes you have this late mineralized porphyry with class of a PD or beta. So these have more, sometimes can have a little bit of gray. And after that, you have the barren, completely barren dikes that are the andesite, that probably with the color you don't see, but are north-south andesite dikes that are completely barren and they have a lack of quartz veining, E and B type. And surrounding, as I mentioned before, in the project, these lower Cretaceous sedimentary volcanic units with a highly component of calcium limestone. You have some proximal and distal scar that actually has been, this host rock has been thermally recrystallized. So close to the intrusion, you have these proximal scars that doesn't have preserved the bedding. And after that, you have the distal scar that you can see preserve the bedding. And we'll see some picture after that. Well, part of this combined model, as I mentioned before, we have integrated all the data. So here is the same. Let me check if it's here. Okay, we will see this B and B prima cross section. Here is some of the example what we have done with the geology in the deposit. This is the copper model. We have, this is Cuerpo 3. Here is important to see 1.4 kilometers, the scale of the project. Okay, So, okay. And we can see how the quartz vein abundance, the 10%, 5% is related to the high grade of core, and also the halo that have the body of 2% of quartz vein abundance is really good for targeting. This is an example, the same geological model, but here is the geology I said. These early intrusions, intermineral intrusions are related to these E and B veins more than 1%, and also the copper-zinc ratio more than 50 ppm. Some examples of these early mineral porphyries, we can see this that have more than 5% of quartz vein abundance, the intramineral, and the late porphyries. And here what I was explaining about the scar, the proximal host rock that has been recrystallized. You can see the proximal scar with epidotes on garnet, and the distal scar when you see the bedding preserve. Well, what is really important also in this deposit is to map the veinings and to really understand the paragenesis of the veining. We have the UST veinings that are the first high temperature quartz veining that you see mostly in Cuerpo 1 and Cuerpo 2. And after that, you have the E-type veins and B veins, and C veins also that you see later that mostly is chalcopyrite. And actually, the most mineralized porphyry have all these E and B and C type veins. That this is a good example of one of the higher grade core. Is you have the first quartz veins with some pyrite disseminate, chalcopyrite that has been cutting, but a B vein with chalcopyrite, molybdenite, and this has been cutting by C veins, pyrite, chalcopyrite veins. This is an example of one of the outcrop in Cuerpo 2 with the stockwork veining with goethite. This is also a core with the stockwork in the part of the more mineralized veining. Well, in the stage 3, we have, after this campaign, we have our first resource, delivered that with 41% classified as an indicate. We have 183 million tons of 0.49% copper for the indicate, and a total of 451 million tons of 0.4% copper. Here you can see the block model and the geometry of the body that is Cuerpo 3, the big one with 1.2 kilometers, 300 meters there, and Cuerpo 2 and Cuerpo 1. Well, in the stage 4, this was 2021, as we have the first result and the success of that, we started expansion and not only the resource delineation in this campaign, but also to expansion the Cuerpo 3. This is the model, the geological model of the early and intermineralized porphyry. We have drilled and stepped out of the porphyry. So we drill in this area having really good results, as you can see. And one of these, 134D, here you can see that is 170 meters that we step, and we have really good results with porphyry mineralization. Here is the drilling completing during 2021-2022. In this stage 4, we have in black the drilling in the maiden resource, and what we have done. Here we drill 133 holes with 52,000 of meters, so we really have a really good definition of the body, and we increase considerably and boosting the resource that we already have released in 2020. One of the things that also we have done in 2021 was the metal zonation. This is an image of a slide of the Cuerpo 3 and 550 RL. So you have the lithology model here. We have the early and the intermineralized porphyry and the proximal scars. And here you have the metal zonation. It's really I don't know if you can see in the image, but this is what is the model in red, the lithology. This is the isosurface of copper, gold, molybdenum, silver, and lead, and hydrogenation. So the copper and gold are proximal to the porphyry center, so we have the better grades in the early and intermineralized, and we can see here this late mineralized that sure is not with the copper. But interesting here is the halo that we have of the moly in close to the higher grades of the porphyry centers, and after that the halo of the lead and zinc that you can see in here, at least the lead in this image. Well, in following this huge campaign in 2021 that we drilled 52,000 meters, we have delivered in 2022, last year, the first combined resource of Cortadera. So this resource have 96,000 meters of drilling, and we have a resource of 471 million tons. So we have increased really 67% of the resource, and now the 82% of the resource is now indicated. So this was a really a key milestone last year, and this resource is the one that is also in the PEA included in this combine. This is one of the really key slide that you can see how Chile has been growing the resource of Cortadera and, well, Costa Fuego. You have Productora in blue, and in green, sorry, you have Cortadera. But in these 2 years has been really increasing, well, in the 11 years has been increasing more than 1,500 the resource. But here you can see how Cortadera has really been the centerpiece of Costa Fuego and boost all into have a combined resource of 3.41 million tons of copper equivalent. So here's an example of how it's going to be the project. This resource will be in open pit mostly, except in Cortadera in Cuerpo 3. You will have a block cave. So this is just 14 kilometers each other of the project, and Productora, the brecha turmalina, you can see how will be the destruction of this. Yeah, nearly to finish, just this is what we have done this year. We continue with some exploration, but mostly last year we did some geotechnical drilling. And in one of these geotechnical holes, we have it ends in mineralization. So this year, we just continue this mineralization in Cuerpo 1. We have a hit last year of 0.6%, finished the hole, so we extended, and we have probably this will be a stem on upside the 0.3 model, copper model that is here. And this is not included sure in the last resource. So to finalize, because we're in time, is to conclude mostly what has been important for Chile to develop the exploration and the success. One is the understanding of the geological signature of the deposit, and this you can really understand when you have a really good data, good quality data, good mapping, integrate all the data, have a consistency of the login. And to do all of this is you have to have a really good team. So one of the things that we have a really technical team, not only in Chile, the exploration team, also here in Perth, the research team. And a really important thing is to have a really strong corporate strategy that persists in the deal and to can really consolidate the project before the exploration team goes there, and to have finance to continue exploring in the region. Okay.
Thank you very much, Andrea. I think it just highlights that there's a lot more to be understood and found in the coastal belt, so well done.
Yeah.
In the interests of time, we're going to move on to the next speaker.